Welcome back. We're glad you're still here with us. As you can see, we're now joined by our panelists who you just saw on stage and now magically in our little studio. We're really happy you're there. We saw some activity of you about, but not that much. I guess, Gerdie, what happened online?
Not so much. I mean, we can see there are quite a lot of people joining us online, over 100 viewers. But they're still a bit silent, so perhaps this is a sign that they can start asking questions on the website.
I would say take your responsibility, right? Because they're here. If you don't ask your questions,
this
you
is
let
your
this opportunity
chance.
run. Yeah.
Though I have some questions, of course. One is from Genia Rashbam. She's asking, how can you be sure that the promises to meet the strategic objectives are not just a trick to win?
Yeah. Yeah. Shall we take that one first?
Yeah, but I can add another one from Yvonne Kret. That's actually a comment, but in the same field. She says, think about how to use subventions. Use it, for instance, to get more delegates, but become a strategic partner.
Exactly. Yeah, because you guys have been talking a lot about that on stage, right? And our viewers have just seen that. It's all about beauty, strategy, or cash. It seems to be all about strategy, right? And become a strategic partner. Juan José, you even urged us, forget the word supplier.
Yes.
So let's answer that first question. How do you validate all those promises made in the bid? So let's say I write a beautiful bid book and I'm going to meet all your strategic objectives, and then what? How do you actually make your checks and balances on that?
I personally think it would be best to have a personal meeting with the people who wrote the bid, because that will give you a pretty quick idea about what these words are worth and what their thinking behind this partnership is.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the best way to go.
And that's what you do in practice?
Yes.
Okay. So that is once they are in. When do you have these meetings?
After we have received the bid.
Okay. With everyone?
No. But as I said before, we don't receive an overwhelming number of bids.
So in your case, with both of them.
Exactly. No, we have the luxury to be able to talk to parties. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
There is a good practice by many international associations, which is that before evaluating the bid, you have to sign a contract with them.
Okay.
So in that contract, you will include all the promises that you have made if the conference is going to your destination.
Okay, so you're
and that contract is
pre-signed
at least for the shortlisted cities. You have 3 at the end, and you have made a negotiation. Many associations have a contract. You sign this contract before the bid is approved, in order to avoid what she was mentioning, which is a fantastic question. Congratulations for the question, which is really good.
Well, this is how it goes. If you put in a really good question, you get a compliment.
No, that's a good one. It's a good point, because sometimes we listen many times. You know, you are bidding for 2021.
Yeah.
I say, who's going to be there in 2021? You know, this is 2014. No.
Yeah.
So I think that I love to think that the things in writing and sign a paper, so no one forgets.
And Natasha, what is your experience about this?
Yeah, we don't have a contract for this, but I think it is an excellent idea. But we do actually do that with our national associations, and we call it an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, so that they can deliver on the things that they've agreed when we've negotiated to work with them. So I think we could probably roll out a similar thing with destinations in terms of aligning themselves strategically. So for example, if we had we signed up with a destination or a venue and they had Nestle or another food and beverage sponsor everywhere, that would be such a big issue for us. So that's something that we are looking at implementing on a kind of strategy level.
Okay. Anything to add from that? Or,
Actually, another.
Juan José's compliments should spark the question.
It's a more detailed question. It's from Anonymous, unfortunately. But he or she is having a question concerning the Congress partnership. Is it the local association to deal with it or the CVB?
Okay. So this is more about these partnerships. Yeah, Natasha, you're nodding. Who should be dealing with the partnership with you guys?
I think for us it really depends on the national association. If they're not trained in events and organising that kind of thing, then we would absolutely look to the CVB. You know, a lot of our national associations are obesity researchers. They're not event professionals, so that's why we would look to the CVB for help with that.
Okay, because when we talk about the word partnership, which is a very big term, in which phase of the bidding process are we actually talking? Is this pre-bidding, or is this once you won the bid, or what do you mean with that, Juan José?
Since I think that if one bid, since the very beginning, one destination is showing a teamwork, you have 50% more possibilities to get it. That if every single stakeholder, I mean the key stakeholder, let's say venues, hotels, you know, airline, go separately. So you see a full, all of them playing together the same game, and you know, and when this partnership, the clients will perceive from destination really committed to the success of the conference.
So that is what you mean with partnership? Because I was under the impression when we talk about partnership, it's about a partnership between the association and the destinations or the CVBs, but you're actually talking about internal
you need before to develop the team within the destination, and that's a very important, of course that team will partner with the client to make the conference a successful one.
It's kind of like we heard Ms. Vichaya in Thailand talk about the Thai team that they launched as the Convention Bureau, actually actively trying to gather all the suppliers in the local destination.
Yeah.
Is that also for you, Mireille? Is that what partnership means when we talk about that?
It is what it ideally would mean. In practice, it is indeed, in our best case scenario, between the Convention Bureau and the member organization. If they already are together in presenting the bid, that is already a very big step for us. And this is, of course, our dream scenario.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is definitely, at least for me, clarifying something, that it's not about a partnership between the association and the suppliers, but it's actually more focused at the suppliers amongst each other. And I guess the key takeaway is that if you're watching, you better assess with yourself, how's that in my local region or city, or how well am I teamed up with all the others here, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Oh yeah, now people suddenly are discovering
they take their
that
responsibility.
yeah,
Exactly. Give them some love.
And it's all about the same. No, it's not all about the same subject. There's a new subject coming after this one, but this is still continuing on the partnerships. Is it better for the international association to be contacted by the CVB or by the venues, either directly or through local or national delegates?
Okay. Do you care? Once you are, I think you both mentioned you work with your local association anyway, right? So I guess there is no direct route for convention bureaus or venues to get into your bidding procedure?
In our case, they do contact us directly, but I always put them in direct contact with the member organization. No, but because that is the first official step. We have to have an official invitation from our member organization.
Okay.
So when they are in contact with each other, that's already the next step in the process.
All right. And how's that with you?
Similar. We don't have to officially have a member organisation in that country, but I would, when a CVB approaches me, I'd say, have you gotten in touch with our national association? Because that will definitely strengthen your bid. But we consider all proposals.
And I guess that underlines the importance of a local ambassador program, right? You really need to be in touch with the local science community or corporate community or whatever to pull this in. What do you have to add to that, Juan José?
Well, I think my impression, we're talking about that destination. The ideal is they were like on a partnership way. So we have been talking today about a new figure in the CVBs, only focused like a project manager, or I was a Congress liaison officer. We're talking about that position in one session. So the idea for one destination is only one person to get in touch with the client. And the idea from my perspective should be the CVB.
Okay.
But in some destinations there are no active CVB, so that's the reason why the venue is taking the role of leading the bids.
Exactly.
But the ideal scenario from my perspective, I don't know from all of them, is the CVB.
All right. And if you're watching and you're wondering, CVB, what are we talking about? This is the Convention Bureau, right? Yeah. That's what we mean, or the local tourism marketing organization, often a governmental or semi-governmental organization that is there to promote the region and get more meetings in that region. Those type of organizations are we talking about. I think there's more to add to that, right?
Yes, I want to add to that, that more about these definitions you can find in the goodie bag.
Yeah,
because there are some reports and documents there where you can find the differences, which can be quite complicated when you're new in this business. Then something completely else. Beauty, strategy or cash. What about creativity? that's somebody asking, and I think it's the same person saying old formats are changing, and this is pushing associations to look for new formats without losing profits. Is creativity considered as a key issue? Why is it not in this three? Why is it not one of the three elements?
And I guess we have to determine first: are we looking at creativity in the bid book, or are we looking at creativity once you get on site and the way the content side of the meeting is conducted? What is your first impression? What are you thinking of when you hear the word creativity?
Well, I think it's actually part of all three terms. Creativity is a part of strategy, it's a part of beauty, and it's a part of cash.
Right.
I mean, you need creativity for all three of them.
And it's all the same. You're nodding for you also. That's how we close this one off. No, that's nice. Because then I'll take the freedom to actually take the practical skills of submitting the bids. Let's have a quick look at that. Just some anecdotes from the cupboard.
I would say that creativity is fine as long as creativity is aligned with the strategic objectives of the client.
Of course, yeah.
So if you are showing me and give me brilliant ideas from creativity to attract more delegates, more sponsors, and get a state-of-the-art content from my conference, welcome.
Yeah.
But always align with the strategic objectives of the client.
Okay, but let's do, because Martin quickly mentioned on stage the necessity for having good bidding skills. So this comes down much more to the personal skills of probably people submitting the bids. Can you share an anecdote of the most creative way you've seen a destination submit their bid? Is there any creativity in that? Or is it just boring PDFs and Excel files? How do you receive this stuff?
I mean, if I'm being honest, for us,
be honest. That's what's very important in this.
Don't mention the destination.
It is mostly, we generally look at boring PDFs and tables, and a lot of the kind of strategic things that happen take place in meetings or word of mouth or speaking to other people that have worked with another destination.
What are you thinking of when you say that?
So Vancouver, that's an example that I've brought up a couple of times. None of this was, all the things they're doing, none of it was discussed when they were submitting the bid. A lot of it's come through discussions and finding out a little bit more about us. And
so what are they doing, for example?
So they've helped us put on a fun run, which will take place during our congress.
A fun run?
A fun run, a 5K fun run along Stanley Park, which would be great. We're also doing a restaurant program, so that restaurants in the city will put a healthy dish on their menu and say, as part of the upcoming congress, we're delighted to put this new dish on our menu. So it's kind of citywide support.
So I would say those are very creative ideas. I guess key question is it part of your decision-making process? Is it somewhere in your home, or is this something that follows once the decision is made and then you think, ooh, that makes me really happy? Where?
At the moment, it happens once the decision's been made, but I think going forward, it will be something that will be included in the bids. It's something that, because there is so much competition in terms of kind of setting destinations apart, that's something that should be included at bid level going forward, I think.
Okay. But that would require a lot more work. I mean, if I would have to prepare a bid book with all these creative ideas, would you be willing to pay for that?
Sorry, what do you
Say
mean?
if I give you a super cool concept with fun runs and diets in the city and all that stuff, and then you go to another destination, would you? Basically what I'm asking, are you paying for the effort that people are putting in the bidding procedure? Are you paying for those hours, or is that all part of the game?
In the current situation, we are not. But same as Natasha, the bids that we receive are also standard replies to our RFP. And the creative suggestions follow in the meetings that come thereafter.
Exactly, once the destination is selected.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I hope that answers your question on creativity in the bidding process. Is there more running in?
Well, perhaps continuing on this creativity one, will there be any disruptive technologies in bidding? Are there new developments expected?
So you mean in the practical bidding procedures, right?
Yeah.
Is it still, because we can imagine this, I mean, this morning we even still talked about, can we standardize the way you want this input so I can compare like for like?
Yeah.
It's probably some nice kind of Excel format so you can quickly see what it means. But now we want to talk about disruptive technology in the bidding procedures. Have you any experience with that?
Not yet, because as I explained earlier, we have only just a couple of years ago switched to a format request for proposal with fields to fill in. So we're still working with that. But it's a natural development in the future, of course.
Well, let's look at Juan José. You have a lot more bits under your hands.
In my opinion, I think that the new technologies, the key issue now is that our clients are going to see the document of the bitbook in a mobile device. So it's studied that the 90% of the people, if they're not in the mobile but in the iPad or a tablet, they're going to see the bitbook. So definitely I should go for a bitbook, not PDF. I like more like a website format, let's say, but responsive. So you can see in any, and you can track whether it's, so I think there are so many technologies.
Which stuff is viewed.
Of course, it's important, no?
Yeah. So then we get back into the big data. But going on the topic of disruptive technology, if I may, the last question in the room was about speeding up decision-making process. You just mentioned we are in 2014 or 2015 making bids for 2020, 2021. The world is changing so fast at the moment. How could someone make a creative idea about a conference in 2021 when we literally have no clue what the world will look like in 6 years? How are you currently dealing with that so-called time machine? I mean, you mentioned the contracts. Well, say I put everything in a contract in 2015, 2020, the world has changed.
Yeah.
I guess my question is, where's the flexibility in that? How is that organized?
I think for us, we're going to have to start building that into the contract. I think we're seeing it more and more now that people are wanting flexibilities in all of their contracts, whether it's AV suppliers, catering, hotels. I think it's definitely something that's going to be built in as standard. I mean, associations do move quite slowly, and it takes a longer time for them to change compared to maybe other sectors.
Yeah, but the delegates might not, eh?
Yeah.
So if your delegates just expects full, what shall we say, online virtual presence, while you're now bidding in 2014 where you don't even have a clue nor experience with that, how's that going to work? What is your experience with that, Juan José?
I can see that the associations, what they are doing in order to avoid this, so future date, they are shortening the period where they make the decision.
Okay, so you actually see that happening.
Yeah, so they don't say they want to go now to 2020, we're going to go now up to 2018, so 3 years. It depends because your Congress is every 3 years.
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years. So that's different.
And then obviously you're already almost 4 years ahead if you kind of want to work forward.
But at least you have to leave the floor to make a strong promotion of the previous Congress in that edition.
Exactly.
So I think it would be very smart from your side, and they're working on that. If she's going to Vancouver next year, she has to make a strong promotion of the next venue, whatever it is.
Yeah. You want something to add?
To ask?
To add something, yeah.
And I think it's my perfect question, and I didn't ask. It's hybrid sessions are on the table. Are these considered by your associations as a positive idea? Are these included as part of the RFPs?
RFPs, yeah. Again, for those
for
viewers
proposals,
who are not familiar with the abbreviations, the request for proposals are actually the question in the market to put a bid forward. How are you looking at these kind of experiences?
For us, it's really new. The first time we ever got to know about it was through Gerrit, the meeting of the Lab Symposium in the Netherlands. And we are currently considering it for a forthcoming Congress in Düsseldorf.
Yeah, so it wasn't part of the RFP, but
no,
it's kind of added on later. How are you guys dealing with virtual engagement, to put it like that?
We don't at the moment.
No?
I think it's mostly a cost factor for us, and also I think we're also looking at thinking strategically about it. So there's been some discussions from our board saying, have you considered live broadcasting? And we kind of say, yeah, but we're international. We would have to think about our target audience, where they are, what time we do it. So we are thinking about it, but I have to be honest, cost is a really prohibitive factor for us.
We should talk. But, and how is that for
I will ask Natasha. I will ask Natasha, cost or investment?
Exactly. Well, exactly. I need to be careful.
Yeah, both. I think for us it would be we'd have to think very strategically about it. We do have an online learning platform that is video based, so we'd have to think about how that aligns with our educational streaming. Who would be targeting, whether it would be looking at boosting delegates for another event, whether it would be simply an educational thing that people log on to. We would really have to think about that.
Yeah. in the end, and then I'll stop my little commercial break, we see clients that actually either put this cost neutral on their budget or they actually gain a lot from it. But obviously that is building the right business case, looking at the right returns, strategic. We won't go into that.
Another idea could be find a good sponsor for that session.
Like we have today.
We did in ICCA.
Right?
I mean, I'm not telling you, so Thailand is sponsoring
Did you know
this
these are actually Thai orchids?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's why they're here.
But no Thai beer yet, no?
It's coming. It's coming.
Okay.
Martin is already
I remember that you
drinking.
always have Venice.
Thai beer always to close off.
Okay, you have
In a minute.
Singa here? Singa is the one you had your brother?
Yes, that's the one we have.
Okay.
Well, before we all go, because obviously this is a very different atmosphere this morning. It's now afternoon here in Amsterdam. Let's have a final check with you, Gerdie. Do you see any final questions that we really want to take, or is this it for now?
No, I think this was the final, the best final question I could find.
Exactly. Where's the Thai beer? Exactly. I guess with that, I'd like to thank all three of you for coming back here. Thank you for adding some great content. As you all know, I hope you know by now, this will all be recorded, will be cut up into nice segments, and then you can share it with your colleagues or with other associations or whatever, so they can benefit from it as well. If you want to make sure that you receive notification when this stuff comes online, make sure you drop your details on the right side of the screen. Scroll down a bit, there's quite a short form where you can drop your email address and contact details so we can include you in our follow-up communication. Now with that, I'd like to invite back the big man in the house here, the boss, ICCA CEO Martin Sirk, to have some final ideas about the future.
Great.
So if you could make way, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And see you soon.
See you later.
Martin, welcome back.
Gerrit.
Wow, the beers are being unpacked. Our previous panelists were already asking.
I knew there was a reason for coming.
But before that, I think if we look at the session description, it talks about also a bit about the future of bidding for associations. And I don't think we had, well, I know you have some great ideas about that, and I quickly want to give you a little stage about some of the observations you have currently in the marketplace of destinations that are actually going a different route.
Yeah.
Can you share some ideas?
Well, what we've been talking about here is how do you get more competitive in your bidding? How do you understand it? How do you get more in depth? But what I've been seeing over the last couple of years is that the leaders in the business are trying to avoid competition.
Exactly.
So what they're trying to do is they've realized that more and more destinations are getting professional, more understand the intellectual development arguments and the economic development arguments, and they are now using techniques to get around that. Is what I call in shorthand beyond bidding.
Exactly. So what are they doing?
Okay, well the most obvious example is that destinations, centers, PCOs are creating association meetings. So they're not meetings run by the association anymore, in most cases, although occasionally they are partnership arrangements.
Yeah.
But they're looking at what is particularly strong in this destination, what is strategically important. And it may be that, say they hosted a neurology conference, which isn't going to come back for 20 years, and neurology is strategically important to that city. They're talking to the professors, the doctors, about creating their own annual or biannual conference in that field.
Well, are they then in somewhat competing with the existing associations?
Well, this is the truth is that associations have never faced more competition. Global associations are being competing against regional associations, who are competing against national associations, who are competing against commercial companies who are organizing meetings that they're trying to attract associations to, and now these meetings which are also being created by destinations, PCOs.
While time is getting more scarce than ever.
Correct.
So delegates.
So the two differentiators there are content. You know, have you got really, really great content? And perhaps even more critically, somebody said content is no longer king. What the new monarch in town is who's got the best delegates.
All right. So,
okay?
it's not
So
about
if you've
what's
brought,
there, but who's
you,
there.
Correct. If you've brought the right people together, and of course they're attracted by content, but if you brought them together, then magical things happen. And once you build momentum, then you're in a very strong position. Now, it's interesting that probably the weakest sub-segment within the association field is the global meetings.
Exactly.
I mean, we had a couple of global meetings who rotate right the way around the world, but we already saw from the World Obesity, they used to take place every 4 or 3 years. Now they're taking place every 2 years. And I suspect that's because if you have 3 or 4 years between your events, people step in and fill the gap.
Exactly.
So all of a sudden you've got national meetings, regional meetings, ad hoc meetings, maybe even self-created by a LinkedIn group of professors who've suddenly said, well, we've been talking about this specialist segment, let's get together, organize a meeting. And the suppliers are sitting there saying, yes, please. We will partner with you.
We want to do business.
But that's just one element of beyond bidding.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So that goes.
And this is a powerful topic to dive deeper into.
And this works with PCOs. You know, there's a region why, if you look at the Middle East and the number of PCOs and association management companies that are setting up shop in Dubai, they are not there to attract business into Dubai. In many cases, they're there to fill the gap for intellectual content by the local communities. So they're creating Middle East editions of events which are working.
Yeah. All right. Wow.
Yeah.
Just one. Let's keep it at this one for a moment, because obviously clock is ticking, 6 is approaching. I think that is a great little bridge, saying it's all about content and getting the right people there and doing it every year. To invite you to explain a little bit about the next time the ICCA community, some very interesting people, hopes to get together in their annual conference.
Well, when you say hopes to get together, they will be getting together.
Exactly, but I'm just hoping that more viewers will actually join us.
Absolutely. No, 1st to the 4th of November this year, we're holding our Congress in Buenos Aires. We're in Turkey last year. We travel all the way around the world. Our registrations, last time I looked, we were close to 500 people registered.
Oh, wow.
So we're on track for between 800 to 850, probably from about 65, 70 countries.
Wow.
That's
the super interesting people coming together.
That's the super interesting people.
What kind of content can people expect at Congress?
Well, a whole range of stuff. I mean, because we tend to attract the CEOs, the directors from our member companies, we have to provide more than simply how to do business. You know, the RSMP here is very much about how do you do the business, how do you do sales, marketing, research. The Congress is different. The Congress is more about how do you change your mentality in order to be successful at a strategic level going in the future.
All right.
So we bring in people from outside the industry, from marketing. We've got one of the top executives from Prezi. You know,
the new PowerPoint. Don't let them hear it.
No. They would
the presentation.
So they're coming in to talk. We've got guys, marketing specialists coming in to talk about content marketing, what's happening in other fields. So they're constantly looking for ideas of what can they steal to bring into the meetings business that we're not yet doing.
Wow.
In addition to that, very, very critically, we want this conference to be the world-leading place where anybody who wants to know what's going on in the international association sector has to be.
So it definitely has to go about
we've got about a dozen top executives from international associations who are on our faculty.
Wow.
And they're not going to just be talking, they're going to be sitting as keen, interested listeners, so that when the suppliers are saying, this is what we believe is going on, we want them to be able to say, well, actually, this is what we think.
Yeah.
So that's very, very interesting.
And that's quite innovative, right? This is new. We haven't seen this.
No, we've had it before.
But not as a
many.
Validating panel.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're going to practice with something which we've called a inverse or a reverse hybrid session.
Exactly.
So we're actually investigating the idea of how valuable is live content compared to video content. But we're not doing it in the traditional way of videoing out from our conference. We're actually going to bring enormously high quality video in with expert moderation and then have discussions around the issues that are raised to see whether is that as effective as actually having that guy in the room, especially if that guy costs $100,000 to be there.
Exactly.
But then we're going to have a meta discussion of how does this concept work? Could it be improved? Wow. And I haven't seen anybody else do that.
Well, I guess today here we're doing some kind of semi-live aspect with showing videos and then live interaction. So maybe we can throw that in as a case. You're very excited about the Congress. I should say to all of you viewers, if you consider going, please go and attend. And with that, I'd like to invite Jolien up. I'd like to invite Gerdie up to do our 3-year now traditional closing. Because if you joined us later, maybe you haven't heard it yet. But this broadcast is kindly sponsored by the Thailand Convention and Exhibition Bureau. And one of the good stuff that comes from Thailand, besides exceptional meeting logistics and outstanding infrastructure and all the good stuff they also provide delicious Thai beer. So just for a little commercial product placement, we tend to close off and have a cheers on well, all the great content we've been seeing, all the great interaction that you guys have been providing. We are really proud and thankful that you joined us here today. And we hope once the clock hits 5 in your area, like in ours, you drink one with us, right?
Correct.
Martin?
Cheers.
Congratulations.
Cheers, and cheers.
Cheers, and thank you.